During the year of 2020, I had the chance to be a part of a life-changing experience called the Collision Project. The Collision Project is a project that was started at the Alliance Theater that allows young teen artists to collide with an original piece of art that invokes conversation and opinions regarding what that art is talking about. While all of this is happening, not only are you learning about the history of this art, you begin to learn more about yourself, how to collaborate, and the voice you have as a young person. This project would go on to change my life in a lot of positive ways, even going past that 3-week session that I had during the summer of 2020. Flash forward 1 year later, I had the opportunity to be a part of the New Connections Collision Project, which was a cross-sector partnership between working with students in the Connections graduate program of the Department of Juvenile Justice school system. The type of students involved in this program were students who have either graduated or gotten a GED while incarcerated. The guidance of this project involved faculty and students from KSU and teaching artists from the Alliance Theater. I now had the opportunity, with the experience I had gained from my time with the Collision Project, to guide other young people using the Collision format. Everybody in the world has a story or two about their time during the year of 2020. Well, could you imagine what it was like for students that were incarcerated? After talking to one student about how it affected him, he explained how he couldn't physically see his parents the whole year. While the whole world was in a huge pandemic, it seemed the people incarcerated were forgotten about. There were a lot of barriers going into this project, and of course, the big one being COVID. There were huge cautions in us receiving the grant to help with this program because of a lot of the recent guidelines at the time regarding COVID. This would mean that part of this project would have to be remote, and that would mean that a lot of it would be online or virtual through Zoom, etc. The Collision Project thrives off the energy of being around other like-minded people or even people in similar situations as you. With the Collision Project I was a part of during 2020, I knew a few tricks to keep the togetherness since my collision had to also be remote. With that, it made us have to work a lot harder, and one of those things included building trust. The teens have been in numerous situations where the people around them let them down. It wasn't an overnight fix either. But with a process like the Collision Project, it's designed for these barriers and walls to unfold organically. There were lots of moments during the icebreakers or when we were just having conversation with each other where we found these similarities from peer leader to student. Whether it was listening to similar music or sharing interests in similar sports, we found them, and it was the step in the right direction. I had the opportunity to be on the music side of things. This was such a cool moment for me because it was a time in my life where I started to get confident with the music I created. I had recently just wrote a musical, and this was my first time creating something new with these students. But even then, nothing can stop you from the nerves you get when someone tells you their story right in front of you, and then asks for your help to create an authentic musical piece behind it. There were a lot of exercises we did to overcome these obstacles for myself and the students. One of the exercises was group lyric building. Everyone would contribute one line, and we would formulate it into one big song. This allowed the students to be able to contribute anything that they wanted while still following the overall collaboration aspect. Another big exercise we did was word dump. For example, we read and watched Amanda Gorman's inauguration poem, The Hill We Climb, which was such a powerful poem to read and listen to with the students. We asked the students to throw out any word or phrase that stood out to them, whether they could relate to it or if it just spoke to them in a certain way. And a lot of the times, the whole speech as a whole, a black woman being in front of the inauguration, speaking for the president, to them, that spoke value. After a lot of the exercises similar to that, we started to see more comfort. There was one student who never showed his work to anyone, but this process made him want to show it, and the joy that I got from helping him with his piece is joy that cannot be recreated. This constant build of a mutual relationship will go on and on throughout the rest of this process. We will continue to give them prompts to write about, and their answers would ultimately become the script we wrote. We had a prompt that asked, "What place do you come from?" And I remember that same prompt during the year that I did Collision, and the focus that I had to really answer that question. What did it mean to me? And I enjoyed seeing that in the students' faces and seeing how their minds worked because I was recently in their shoes trying to answer that same question. And when you get a question like that that's so broad, it allows your creativity to run free. When someone asks you, where do you come from? Or where are you from? What does that mean to you? It's easy to say your state or your hometown or your background or your culture, but to just explore your mind a little bit more. What's it like on that drive home? What is your home? And things of that nature that we would constantly ask these students. This led to the opening song that we ended up creating. And it went, I come from a place, going to a place, not the same, but one thing remains, I'm going. I come from a place, going to a place, not the same, but one thing remains, I'm going. It was such a fun song to create with the students, and to see all their input to help bring it together, it was a success. It was a joy to watch, and it was a joy to create with the students. With a process like this, the lessons you learn are inevitable. I learned the privilege that I have as an artist. I learned that even at different levels or being on different paths in your life, if you can tell your story, you're an artist. And there were a lot of students by the end of this process who were able to say their story and say it confidently, looking at a new outlook, a new perspective, a new direction to go in. Being on different lens for this process showed the importance of having a voice and knowing you have a voice. As a peer leader and mentor, I learned the truth on why we are doing programs like this. We have to be able to show these youth that they are in control of their own path. And me being a mentor is to show them the blueprint, and not just the options they have, but showing them that they have ways of going about these options. Everybody in the world has a story, and it comes down to you to speak your truth.